and gentlemen, welcome on in to another fantastic episode of Bar Talk. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, happy Monday, happy Tuesday, happy Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Whenever it is that you are listening to this, I hope you are having the best day ever. If your day isn't going the way that you want it to go, guys, know that you have the power to turn around, make it extraordinary. It doesn't need to be this over-the-top magical day. It can be finding gratitude for the simple things in life, like a super delicious hot cup of coffee. Yep. Or tap water. Or the fact that you got out of bed today. The fact that the sun is beating on your face, that you have technology to connect with people all over the planet, that whatever it is, you find your gratitude, you make this day the way that you want it to be today. I have been thinking a lot about Taylor Swift's song Invisible Strings. Like I've been listening to it on repeat. And for anyone who is a Taylor Swift fan out there, you know, if you don't, you should totally go listen to the song after you listen to this podcast. But I have been thinking a lot about how in life there are forces tying us to situations, to people without us even realizing it. And again, to the name of the title of her song, there are all of these invisible strings moving you exactly where you need to go without you realizing that it's where you need to be. So, God, it's just so funny. And so basically, I'll read to you the line. There's two lines, but actually let's just read the one. The one line is, a string that pulled me out of all the wrong arms right into that dive bar. Something wrapped all of my past mistakes in barbed wire, chains around my demons, wool to brave the seasons. One single thread of gold tied me to you. So for any Taylor Swift fan, that's clear. This song is about her relationship with Joe. But I think about these invisible strings as within how I got my job and how absolutely lucrative and bananas it is that I got my job, if I'm being really honest. So again, let me like kind of just tie you guys into what we're talking about today. So let me tell you guys about this new job. I am one of the new producers for the Bleav Network, and it is the new hosting site for Bar Talk with Jenna. Okay. Bleav, that is spelled Bleav. So my plan all along when I started doing this podcast was I wanted the podcast to get picked up. I wanted it to be something that I could do for the rest of my life. And it was something that I knew I wanted to be surrounded by people who were creative, driven, and I wanted to learn from people who were smarter than me. And I wanted to learn from people who had been doing this for a long time. So let me tell you about the very first invisible string that pulled me to where me sitting here right now. So one of my former professors at DePaul had text me saying, hey, there's this job opening and I know it's not what you want to do, but I think you would be great. And I've already told them about you. So my first initial reaction was, fuck. As crazy as that sounds, I was like, oh my God. Like I was like, okay, like I'll apply. So the title was a social media director for two new shows that were falling under this sports umbrella at this network. And I kind of I'm already like kind of doing it with the podcast, just with the way that I was, promoting, pushing clips, like all that stuff, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I said, all right, I'll apply. So I applied for the job. I do an interview for the job and knew by the end of the interview that this was not the company I wanted to work for. um, I realized, and I'll say this for anyone who's applying for jobs, ask questions about the company you're going to be working for, because as much as they are interviewing you, you are interviewing them too. Okay, that's a total sidebar, but remember that as you are like applying for jobs and looking for jobs. Okay. So I had asked them a question, and the question was, so what are your goals? Like, what are your social media goals that you guys want to accomplish with these two shows, creating social channels for them? And the answer was, we don't have any. And I said, bye bye. I didn't actually do that in the moment, but in that internally, I said, yeah, this is not going to work. Like I refuse to work for a company that has no goals, because essentially I'm a dog chasing my tails, collecting a paycheck, and I don't want to do that. So knew right away. Now, fast forward to maybe a week or two later. Okay. Um, Girlfriend of mine, me and my girlfriend go and get tattoos. And this tattoo that I got, I always wanted to get. And I said to myself that I would get this tattoo the day that I got my dream job. And the tattoo is a small little northern star tattooed on the back of my neck. And basically it's my reminder that if I ever feel like super overwhelmed in life, I just kind of hold the back of my neck and take a few deep breaths. And it makes me realize that no matter where life takes me, no matter how big things get, as long as my heart is facing north, everything's good. So I always wanted that tattoo as like my reminder. And I said, I'm going to get this when I get my dream job. Another little sidebar, I had someone say to me, you need to start celebrating like you've already gotten the job. So you need to do it even though you haven't gotten it, because when you celebrate it, then it comes. So I said, all right, I'm going to do it. So I did it. Go to the bar that night, at my family's bar at Shinnick's, and they were filming Chicago PD there. So family friend works on the show, and I said, I should really go. Royce Hawkins was going to be there, who was like one of my very first guests on the show, and I haven't been able to meet him in person. I was like, no, I should really go, even though I was exhausted and tired. Um, a little invisible string was pulling me to go to the little corner tavern on 38th and Union. So I go and I say hi to everyone, to my family, to friends. I say hi to my family friend who works on the show. I say hi to Leroy's, and then I end up saying hi to a friend named Erica. Erica is um, my Brian Luce, who was on the show, his wife, who is the costume designer for the show. So her and I start talking. I'm asking her how she's doing, and she says to me, oh my God, I'm working in sports. There's this person that I'm working with you totally have to meet. And I'm like, Erica, like, what do you mean you're working in sports? And Erica's not a huge sports fan. So that's why I was like, I was like, wait, I'm confused. So anyways, I said, oh my God, are you working on this show? And she said, yeah, how'd you know? I said, I applied for the job. and and so I told her about it, and she said, did you get it? And I said, no. Well, I said, honestly, I don't know if I got it, but I don't care because I didn't want it. And she looked at me and I said, I felt like I was being asked to board the Titanic. I felt like there was no direction, and I didn't want to work for a place that had no direction. And she said, well, you're right, because your gut was spot on. And I said, oh, I'm like, wow, okay, well, thank you, gut, I appreciate that. Um, and then we just get to talking, and she's like, what do you want to do? Like, well, what's the goal with the podcast? And I said, like, I love what I'm doing. I want to keep learning from people that are smarter than me. I want to get back into sports. I want to just learn and grow and dabble in as much that I can as possible. And I just want to learn from people that are smarter than me. So again, think nothing of that conversation in the beginning of March. And now it's the beginning of April. Yeah, it's the beginning of April. And I had a really bad day. I had a really bad day. I got down on my knees and I prayed to God, and I said, and I was crying, and I said, God, you need to throw me a bone. I'm like, I can't keep doing this. Like I just these are the things that I want. Like I feel like I'm really trying and I feel like I'm getting close, but like I need a job that's going to pay me, a job that's going to give me insurance. I need a place where I can grow, a place where the podcast can grow. And I had kind of listed out all of these things that I wanted in a job. Interesting part. I go to bed that night. Couldn't sleep. I was really like tossing it's one of those nights where you kind of just like toss and turning. You're just like, oh, this is the worst. So I'm tossing and turning in bed all night. And in my dream that night was Mr. Brian Luce, who is a family friend of ours. And he was at the bar and he said to me, Jenna, don't worry. I got a job for you. And I was like, what? Brian, how are you getting me a job? You work on Chicago PD. Like I'm not acting. Like I'm so confused. Um, I wake up the next day and I'm just really not motivated. I'm sad. And I look at my phone. I look at my phone and I have a text message from a number I don't know. And I'm like, who's texting me? And they say, hi, I'm friends with Erica. I work in sports. I think I have a job for you. And I kind of like look up and I'm like, that was all I had to do. Like that was it. And I then reply with, hi, who is this? Because there was no name attached to it. So anyways, this person and I get on the phone. She explains to me the job and she's like, can you send me over a resume? We're on the phone. I send over my resume. Um, she's like, I think you'd be great for it. I love what you're doing. They would want you like, and what was crazy was she's like, they want you to continue doing your show. Like they would want you to keep you doing your podcast. And then you would help out with others as well. And I'm like, I'm so, what? So the next day I talked to the president of the company. And right after that informal interview, I guess we'll say kind of an informal interview, um, I was like, oh, this is my job. This is my job. Like, I absolutely know this is my job. Okay. Then a week, the following Monday, I have an interview with the CEO. They say that, we're still interviewing candidates. You'll hear back from us, within the next few days, blah, blah, blah. So I said, okay. And the next day I wasn't supposed to go to opening day. We'll call it another invisible string, guys. Okay. Next day is opening day. I'm not supposed to go. Last minute, literally like Sunday, my sister and I decide, let's go to opening day. Like it's fun. We both at the time didn't have jobs. Like, let's just go to opening day. So we go and I walk in and I'm holding my phone up like this to film because I was like, all right, I'm going to do like a vlog style podcast and do like a White Sox opening day podcast. So I'm filming, and as I'm getting ready to film, a notification pops up that says, we'd like to formally offer you the job. And I look at my sister and I start crying. And I'm like, she's like, do you want to? So she starts filming it, which if you guys have seen it, it's on all of my socials. It's actually really cute. And I'm happy that she like captured that moment. She's like, do you want to tell anyone? And I said, no, I don't want to tell anyone. Like, let's just keep this between us for now. Let's just enjoy this day. So I was not planning. I wasn't going to tell anyone that day because I was like, this is my news. I want to keep this to me. Well, one more invisible string happened. Guess who was at the ballpark that day? Erica. And I see her and I said, oh my God, I wasn't going to tell anyone, but I have to tell you, like, I got the job. And she hugs me and we are celebrating and we're talking. And she's like, Jenna, I've been to 3 White Sox games in the last like 5 years. And she was at that one. And again, just a lot of moving invisible strings in like an orchestra of things happening behind the scenes that we don't always know. And that is fate or faith, I guess we'll say fate, faith, a little bit of both. And what's so interesting, and again, I keep playing Taylor Swift's song in my head on repeat is, and isn't it just so pretty to think all along there were some invisible strings tying you to me? Whether that's with anything in life, whoever that me is. And I think about the invisible strings of me working for this network and me getting this job was I pitched Bar Talk back in 20, maybe it was 2019, like end of 2019. And they at the time were like, maybe you could do this. And what I learned in that moment was that I hadn't pitched. Like you could have an idea in your head, but sometimes you don't always verbalize it properly and how you want it to look. And I was like, nah, I just don't think they get it. And that's okay. So the invisible string, I guess, happened all the way back in 2019 of like, that was the one invisible string. And there's just so many things happening around you that are tying you to a person, a situation, an opportunity that you don't even know. And how beautiful that is. And again, that involves a lot of faith, and that involves like a belief in something that you don't always see, and it involves really having trust and having faith. And when you have faith in whatever it is, and again, we could do a whole another mini on faith, because it's not something that happens overnight. It happens over time, and we all struggle with faith. And I will say, since I have really just believed, since I've started to believe in my higher power and believe in that and have that faith for what it is that I'm doing, I just know without needing to know how that it's all working out. It's all working out, guys. And I'm hoping that you hear the story and you realize that right now, like in this very moment, without you fully understanding how it's going to end or how it's going to play out, you have invisible strings pulling you to people, to places, to opportunities that you are meant to be in that very moment. So, if you have some invisible strings, I would love to hear them. But guys, they are always like, everything is always working out for you. Everything is always working out best case scenario. And those invisible strings are pulling you to places in this beautiful orchestra of a way that you don't even understand. I don't even understand. But one day you'll understand. Okay. That's all I got for you guys on invisible strings this evening. I really appreciate you guys listening to this. If you feel that, someone in your life could hear this, I would love it if you would share the podcast. I would also love it if you could follow us along. It is at Bar Talk with Jenna across the board. If you are a visual consumer on YouTube, hi guys, leave a subscribe, give this comment a thumbs up, leave a little comment. And if you're an audio listener, 5-star rating, would really appreciate it. Leave a little review, subscribe on however you get your podcast. And that's all I got for you guys today. So you can reflect on your invisible strings that are pulling you to a place that you don't even know. Let me know. And I hope you all take the time today to realize that we have way more in common with each other than we have different. I will see you next time. Take care.